Do you remember that 90s gem, The Steve Harvey Show? If you do, then you absolutely must recall Terri Vaughn, the talented actress who brought Lovita Alizé Jenkins to life. Excuse me, you cannot just go shambling up in there. This is the star's office. In a recent interview with Comedy Hype, actress Terri Vaughn revealed some piping hot tea about Steve Harvey, suggesting that his brassy reputation has been a constant throughout his career. Vaughn reminisced about her time on The Steve Harvey Show, mentioning that the interactions on set were frequently colored by Steve's unwavering cockiness. She revealed, "Steve's always been brassy, always. All the exchanges me, him, Wendy said you used to have on set. It's the same stuff." Steve Harvey's career has seen highs and lows with moments of immense success and popularity. But Vaughn noted that his recent trials might not be resonating with the public in the same way they once did. "I suppose he is still that same smart Steve. He is still that. But now you are also seeing another side of him that he never had to show you." In any case, the talk show host Steve has long been rumored to retain a band of hatefulness. In a 2022 episode of the Smart List podcast, Kenan Thompson set up himself participating in an intriguing yarn about his relations with Steve Harvey, intimating at yet another case where Steve may not have been the most affable individual. During the podcast discussion with hosts Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, the content turned to Kenan's impersonation of Steve on the comedy scene. When Will Arnett mentioned that Steve was one of his favorite characters portrayed by Kenan, the Nickelodeon alumnus did not hold back about the initial response from the Judge Steve Harvey star. Kenan bared, "Steve Harvey did not love it in the morning. I know him, so he'd surely shoot dispatches through collective musketeers or just through the press, like tell the little fat boy to knock it off." Despite Steve's less than enthusiastic reception of the impersonation, Kenan did not back down. In fact, he decided to expand on it, conforming it to suit whatever Steve Harvey was up to next, such as when he ventured into systems like Little Big Shots. "I never stopped," he continued. "As soon as he does something, whenever he steps down from Family Feud and does something differently, I am on that too. However, you are on the radar if you are on the radar." Interestingly, Kenan had previously bandied Steve's response to his impersonation in an interview with The Hollywood Journalist. Steve was not exorbitantly agitated about it in the morning, but he grew to love it. "I do not do it out of any malignancy," he told the outlet in July 2020. "He told me in different ways, or he would say it on his radio show. And also people would call me and be like, 'Hey, Steve Harvey's talking about you this morning on the radio.' And I'd be like, 'All right, well, I am sure he will settle down once he realizes that I am not attacking him.'" As suckers may know, Kenan first crossed paths with Steve when he appeared on Steve's sitcom, The Steve Harvey Show, where he played a character named Junior from 1996 to 1998. In 2017, Kenan was a guest on Steve's eponymous talk show, and they minced it out with friendly banter. "You not know the phone calls you put in my life," Steve told Kenan. "Man, Steve, did you see Kenan last night?" "I did not see Kenan last night." "Boy, he did you. Last night over the Times." The Brace has participated in other tidbits about their relations. "I just saw Steve when we were shooting Bring the Funny, and he was on the comedy stage doing Family Feud," Kenan said. "I sat down with him, and he was like, 'You better watch yourself. I love Steve. I have known him for a super long time.'" The feeling sounds collective. "We all know Kenan's career is alive and well because of me," Steve said on Redundancy. "I want to protest his a bit, but it's enough funny. I call Kenan all the time and say, 'Hey man, shoot me half your check because I am half the reason you are there.'" Still, if you suppose that is the extent of Steve's disturbing gestures, you're in for a rude shock. It appears that a recent memo he transferred to his staff has eventually brought this aspect of his character to light. And believe us when we say that ignorance might have been bliss. In his memo, Steve discarded any facade of kindness and drew a clear line of separation between himself and his associates, as if he considered them beneath him. The memo read as follows: My security platoon will stop everyone from standing at my door who has the intent to see or speak to me. I want all the ambuscading to stop now. That includes television staff. You must record an appointment. I promise you I'll not entertain you in the hallway. And don't essay to walk. Rather than offering an explanation, Steve has chosen to double down in response to the review over the memo. He seems to believe that people seeking to discourse with him are exploiting his position. Talk about arrogance. I couldn't find a way to walk from the stage to my dressing room, to sit in my makeup president, to walk from my dressing room to the stage, or to just sit and have lunch without notoriety just walking in. I have always had a policy where you can come and talk to me, so numerous people are great around then, but some of them just started taking advantage of it. Steve felt locked by the presence of suckers and people staying for him, egging him to write the letter. I just did not want to be in this captivity presently where I had to be in this little room, spooked to go out and take a breath of fresh air without notoriety approaching me, so I wrote the letter. Eventually, he adamantly refused to admit his wrongdoing or extend an explanation. After years of putatively being untouchable, Steve seems to believe that he can say or do anything without facing consequences. It's apparent that Steve does not hold numerous people in high regard, as he has now banned anyone from approaching him at work. It's clear that he remains unconscious to his offensive and arrogant address, showing no intent to rehabilitate his image. Some may argue that he's justified in wanting to avoid exchanges at work, but what shouldn't be forgotten is his long history of uncouth gestures. This recent incident isn't the first time he has acted erroneously and anticipated others to accept it. Regrettably, it seems that Steve Harvey has constantly displayed spiteful and prejudiced tendencies. He doesn't wince down from making racist and homophobic reflections in public. Reportedly, Steve Harvey has displayed a lack of respect for gay men, suggesting that they aren't real men in his eyes. His prejudice extends to Asians as well, despite his own status as a person of color. He indeed went as far as mocking a book named How to Date a White Woman, a practical companion for Asian men, with a racially asleep comment. Asian men understandably took offense at his cringe good joke and called out his insincerity. Eddie Huang handed a befitting character analysis of Steve, pressing his amenability to immortalize the masculinity of Asian men for particular gain, despite his platform to address issues in the Black community and his religious confederations. Adding to the list of Steve Harvey's problematic attributes is his belief that all men ask only one thing from women, a perspective he has openly expressed. He has indeed admitted to lacking womanish musketeers, asserting that men who befriend women are simply staying for the occasion for closeness. Likewise, he has a track record of insulting and mocking his guests. Ernie Hudson, for case, had a less than affable hassle with Steve, who made fun of Ernie's son due to his soft-spoken voice. Ernie recalled, "We had a great time, even though Steve Harvey was annoying. My youthful son is veritably soft-spoken, and Steve was kind of making fun of his voice. I am sitting there. Do not show that you are getting irked. I'll knock him out." It's come abundantly clear that Steve Harvey isn't open to review or responsibility. He seems to have a poor understanding of the conception of concurrence. When asked for advice on how to reject advances, Steve responded dismissively, suggesting that once a man is interested, there is no stopping him. Despite his controversial views and reliance on gender conceptions for his comedy, Steve presents himself as a relationship expert, offering advice to others. Still, it's worth noting that his own romantic history is far from exemplary, marked by infidelity and an apparent lack of guilt. In fact, rumors that Marjorie had been involved in an affair with Steve's security erupted on Twitter a few weeks ago. Social media druggies circulated unwarranted reports that Marjorie was seeking to end her 16-year marriage to Steve after she was caught being treacherous to the Family Feud host. Specifically, the rumors purport that Marjorie was seeking a $200 million divorce agreement after cheating on Steve with the couple's Century and Cook.